Hello and welcome. In this video, we will learn about two-dimensional arrays. Okay? Now, in the previous video, we learnt about arrays. And what we learnt in the previous video is about single-dimensional arrays. Okay? Now, these are something which you will use a lot while programming in C. Okay. Now, however, if you want to store data in a tabular form, like what you're seeing here on the screen with rows and columns, you need to learn about multi-dimensional arrays. Okay. Now, what are multi-dimensional arrays? Multi-dimensional arrays are basically arrays of arrays. Okay. Or a multi-dimensional array is basically an array of arrays. Okay. Now these arrays can have any number of dimensions. But in this video, we will learn about the most common one, which is 2D arrays or two-dimensional array. Two-dimensional array will have many number of rows and columns. Okay. Now a 2D array is also known as a matrix. Okay. Matrix is nothing but a table of rows and columns. Alright. So now let us go to the online C compiler and learn about this array. Okay. So this is the basic structure of my C program. You can have a return 0 here. Alright. Because you have mentioned int here, it is better to have it. Even if you do not have it, it is not a problem. Now, declaring 2D array is similar to declaring one-dimensional array. Alright, we first mention the data type that we will be having inside the array. So if you see here, we have all integer values inside the array. So here I have mentioned int. Okay. Next, what we have to mention is the name of the variable, all right, or name of the array. So let me here say arr1, okay, array 1, and then we need to have two square brackets. Okay. So in one-dimensional array, only one was enough, but here we need two square brackets. All right. Now what goes inside first, what goes inside second? Inside first goes the number of rows in the array. Okay. Now if you consider this matrix, how many rows are there? Two rows. First row, second row. Correct? So we mentioned 2 in the first square bracket. And in the second square bracket, we mention the number of columns. So how many columns are there in this? 1, 2, 3. So we mention 3 columns here. Okay. So this is to mention how many rows are there. This is to mention how many columns are there. It is as simple as that. Alright. Yes. So we have declared the array. Now we have to mention its values, and once again mentioning values will be in between flower brackets or curly braces, whatever you want to call it. All right. So this will be the curly bracket which will hold the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. Okay. But these 6 values are from 2 rows, correct? 2 rows. So what we have to do is first mention this value and this value inside a set of curly braces. Let me do that and explain. Okay. So first once again inside the curly braces should be the values 53, 22 and 11. So 53, 22 and 11. Alright. So this is nothing but first row. Next comes second row values, and we have to separate the first row values and second row values with a comma. Next, the second row values also come in between a set of flower brackets. So what are the values? 19, 6 and minus 3. So 19, 6 and minus 3. Okay, 19, 6 and minus 3. So you see here, we have used two curly brace sets to mention the values of two rows. Okay, so this is how we declare a 2D array. Alright, so first is data type, then the array name, then number of rows, number of columns, and inside curly braces, we have separate set of curly braces which holds the values of the rows separately. Okay, yes, so this is done now. This is our 2D array. If you had one more row here, then you should have had one more set of curly braces with the values in it. Okay, yes, so now this is done. We have declared an array. Now how do we access it? If you remember, in the one-dimensional array, we access the elements using index numbers, correct? In the same way, in 2D arrays too, we access the elements using index numbers. Alright? Now, index numbers. So, index numbers here are given in red color. Okay? Index numbers start from 0. So, first row has index of 0. Second row has index of 1. Third row, if at all it is there, it will be having index of 2 and so on. Okay? Whereas the first column will have index 0. Second column has index 1. Third column has index 2 and fourth column, if at all it is there, will have index 3 and so on. Okay? So, for example, if you want to access this value, then what you have to mention is the index of row and index of column. So, you want to access the value that is in 0 row and 0 column, or 0 index number row, 0 index number column, correct? You want to access this. So that is what we have to mention here. Alright. So let me use printf statement and let me say %d because we are trying to print an integer value, and here I'll say ar1, and what do I want to access? I want to access the value which is in 0 row, 0 column. Okay. I want which is in 0 row, 0 column. Okay. So now let me run it, and you can see I get 53 as output. Okay, 53 as output. Now if I want to access this, this is in index 1 of row and index 2 of column. Okay, so 1 and 2. So that is what I have to mention here. I want row 1 and column 2. So first it has to be row and second it has to be column. Okay. Now when I run it, I get -3. Okay. Now if I want to, let us say, access this 0 row 2 column. So 0 row 2 column. So when I run it, I get value 11. Okay. So this is how you access it. It is similar to accessing the elements of 1D array. Alright. Now, if I want to change the value of an array element, then I do it in the same way like I did for 1D array. Okay. Now how did I change? I mentioned the index value and I changed the number, correct? But here we have to mention what value we are trying to change and then change it. Okay. So now let me change 6 here. Let me change 6 here to 8. Okay. Now 6 is in one row or one index row, first indexed row and first column. Okay. 1, 1. So I want to change the value that is in first row, okay, first row and first column, first row and first column. I want to change it to 8, okay, I want to change it to 8. So now it is changed from 6, it is 8 now. Let me try to print it out. I will print 1 and 1, okay. So when I run it, I get 8. It is changed and that is what I am printing. So here if I have, okay, this number and if I try to run it, I get the same number. Alright? Yes. So this is how you change elements of an array. I hope it is clear. Now, you can do everything that we had learned in 1D array. Okay. I want you to practice doing all those things with 2D array. Alright, 2D array. Only then you will learn the concept properly. Now, I won't be teaching you everything here, everything that I did with 1D array here because you already know it. Okay. So you have to try it out on your own. Now what I'm going to show you is how to use for loop with 2D array. Alright, 2D array. So let me delete this out. Let me delete this out and let me delete this out. Okay. So here I will have a for loop. I will say for I int I equal to 0. Why 0? Because the index starts from 0. It is not 1 here. It is I. For I equal to 0, I less than 2. Alright, I less than 2 and I equal to I plus 1, or you can also say instead of this plus I, okay, plus I. Now I have explained about this in one of my previous videos. If you do not remember this, if it is confusing for you, you can just say I equal to I plus 1. This is also fine. Okay. So this is my first for loop and inside this for loop I will have one more for loop. I'll say for int j equal to 0, okay, j less than 3, j is equal to j plus 1, okay, j equal to j plus 1. And here inside this I will print array 1 I and j, okay, I will print I and j. So let me run and see if there are any errors and let me correct them. Okay, I am getting the output like this. Now this is correct, but everything is in a single line. So let me add a new line character here, which will make the values look proper. Okay. So let me run it and you can see I have all the values 53, 22, 11, 9, 6 and minus 3 in separate lines. Okay. So this is how you use for loop with a 2D array. Now let me explain you how this works. Okay. So this I is for this. Okay, for this. Alright. For the row. This j is for the column. This j is for the column. Alright. So that is why you see I is less than 2. I is less than 2. J is less than 3. J is less than 3. Y less than 2 because index number will be 0 and 1. It will never be 2 in this case. Here y less than 3 because index number will be 2 maximum, 0, 1 and 2 because there are only 3 columns. So it will not be 3 anytime. Alright? Yes. So now what I am saying is for I equal to 0, I less than 2, do this or execute this. So first I will be 0, I less than 2, 0 less than 2 will be true, and so this will be executed. So what happens is this will be executed 3 times when this is true. So when in first iteration the I value is 0, when this becomes true, the control goes to this. Now j equal to 0, okay, j equal to 0, 0 less than 3 is true, and so this will be printed out. So what is 0 in the first iteration? It is, sorry, what is I in the first iteration? It is 0. So 0, 0 will be printed out, which is 53. Then the control goes to this, or j will be updated. So j value will become 1. 1 less than 3 is true. So 0, 1 will be printed out. 0, 1 is 22. Next, once again the value of j will be updated. 2 less than 3 is true, and so 0, 3 will be printed out, that is 11. And then j will be updated and the value becomes 3. 3 less than 3 will be false, and so the control goes back to this once again. Okay, so now I value will be updated. I value will become 1 now. 1 less than 2 is true, and so the control goes to this. Now j is 0 once again. J is less than 3, 0 is less than 3, so this is true. So now 1, 0 will be printed out, which is 19. Then the control goes to this. J value will be updated. It will be 1 now. 1 less than 3 is true, and so 1, 1, array 1, 1 will be printed out, which is 6. Next the control goes to this and j value will be updated. It will be 2 now. 2 less than 3 will be true, and so 1, 2 will be printed out, which is minus 3. Then the control goes to this and j value will be updated. J will be 3 now. 3 less than 3 will be false, and so control goes to this. Now I was 1 now. I becomes 2 after this runs. 2 less than 2 is false, and so the loop stops. Okay, so this is how the for loop is used to access the values of 2D elements. Now this, when executes one time, this executes 3 times. Okay, this when executes one more time, this executes 3 times. So totally there will be 6 executions, okay, of j, whereas 2 executions for I. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Go and practice the things that we have learnt in this video, and also do the things that we have done with 1D array with 2D array. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and thank you for watching.